Armada Book 3 Chapter 3 The Pied Piper Part 2. They saw the Romit inside the glass cage awaken and, where am I? Who are you? Hello, I'm Andrew. What was the last thing you remembered? I was living in a farm with my mother and brother. I was young then, now I am much older. How can this be? It seems they are victims of their own devices. Get the other Romit inside the other cage and do the same thing, Tom. Ellie said. That changes things. Why so, Andrew? Reek asked. That means they are the victims as well, and it would not be right to kill them. Maybe not all of them. Ellie countered. She was thinking of the one she dissected. How would we know which ones are victims of the chemical and which ones are not? How do we ID who has the disease and who does not? Eric asked. Roger added, short of waking them up individually. Olive explained, all the humans are being processed in the space station. Albert wants to talk to them. Alan is on his way to get the ship under the ocean. Olive turn over the alien ship and anything Alan may need to handle the situation on Earth. We have to go and free up some planets. You guys may have to come with us. Andrew said. We don't mind. Don said. Donna nodded as well. I'm hungry. Reek said. I like your frankness, Dr. Reek. What are you a doctor of anyway? Eric asked. Astrophysics and electrical engineering. My daughter Donna here has a doctorate in chemical engineering. Donna, you can work with me when you're free of Don here. Ellie said. They laugh. This is all like in the TV series my dad loves to watch. Good, so we don't have to explain things to you more than we should. When you and Vicky were speaking at the convention, people were laughing at you and they think you two have lost it. Now I guess we were all wrong about you. I am sorry I was one of them. Don't worry about it. We get that a lot. Not only on Earth but a lot of times in the galaxies. We love being thought of as crazy. Very good, Ellie. See, Doctor, she is pretty, smart and has a sense of humor. Andrew said. I like her, it would be nice to work with Ellie. But my interest now is not astrophysics and electrical engineering. Reek said. Where are you interested in? Eric asked. People. Work with me first and you will have all the people you can have until you puke. Eric said. They laugh as well. Ellie, did you know Dr. Reek is on the list? Andrew asked. Yes, I remember, but we could not find you. Where were you about 2 years ago? I was inside the tunnels that has access to the ship you captured. What list was this? Ellie held Reek's arm. It's a long story, but you will have all the time in the world to find out. Olive, tell all our people we leave tomorrow for the nearest human planet 1 BLY away. Andrew said. So we are going with you to some planet? When do you expect to arrive there? Don asked and looked at Olive. If we all leave tomorrow, we will be there 5 days after. Look, our Romit leader is awake. Ellie exclaimed. Andrew started. Hello, let me guess, Bakarog, you don't know us. Who's Bakarog? My name is Insantal. You, sir, are also strange. Reek said, and the group laughed. So what is the last thing you remembered? Ellie asked. I was flying a ship across a planet with people like them. He pointed to the Norsets. The Norsets looked at each other. The plot thickens. Roger. Andrew tells Roger in British accent. It does indeed, Mr. Holmes. Roger said in a very serious British accent. Andrew explained to Insantal the events of the last 2 hours. He was surprised but realized that what befell him could have happened to his brothers in arms. Olive showed him a holograph screen of himself before the Senate. That's unbelievable. What about my people, my brothers in arms? Your shipmates are in time boxes and we will wake them up in a while, but your ship was sent to our colleagues on Earth to study. Andrew said. Olive added, can you show me where you last remember flying? She opens up a galaxy near the Norsets. Not there, I think those are 3 BLY away from us. Olive moved to the left 3 BLY away towards the target human planets. That's the galaxy. Move to the rim on the left. Move closer. Move to the left. Those 4 solar systems is where we flew by to recon for our enemies. Those guys were taken as food by our enemy and we thought they are not intelligent life forms. So who are these enemies that you were fighting? Andrew asked. They call themselves Romitlocks. We thought you were the Romitlocks. Ellie said. Absolutely not. We are called Jectonox from a galaxy further away. Insantal said, visibly annoyed. Here? She produced the same hologram. No, in a galaxy next to it. They're that one. At the top, outer ring. Closer, to the left please. There, our species occupy 80 planets in 58 solar systems. My home planet is in this solar system. Where are your enemies? Andrew asked. In another galaxy further out. Insantal said, waving to Olive. Olive moved to the next 2 galaxies. Further out, move up. This galaxy. Move closer to the left middle. There, those are their home solar systems. They occupy 280 or so planets. Why were you at war? Reek asked. Expansion. They took over several of our planets. We had to defend ourselves. We formed an alliance with the aliens they conquered, but after a while the aliens suddenly had a change of heart and abandoned us. They are very advanced in this sort of game, and millions of our brothers in arms were taken in under the chemical. But why are you so far from your world? What possible gain would you have taking over a planet like Earth? Eric asked. I don't know what you are talking about. Where is Earth? Andrew faced Ellie. If we engage their enemies, Ellie, what would prevent us from getting infected by the same dream chemicals? I guess if we inject ourselves with the Sanet. But we have to run some tests first. We don't know what the effect would be on uninfected people like us. Either that or we make thousands of Olives, Toms, and Kristens. Eric said. Dawn exclaimed, wait, Olive and Kristen are not humans? You were not watching their show. Olive and Kristen are ship AIs. Reek explained. I guess the show has its advantages. Andrew said. Gadden appeared. Andrew, the Max are sending 100 ships with supplies and some experienced people. Andrew noted, wait, Tonin has 400 ships and Binaton is adding 400 more. Then the Max are sending 100. The next thing you know would be the Inkeys would be sending several hundred more. Roden appears as a hologram. Hey guys. I heard you have a trip being planned. Look, I am sending 400 ships, but I am waiting for Manpat's men to arrive. They will meet you at the target area in 12 days or so. Ibudi. And what target area are we talking about? I don't exactly know where, but near the first human planet. I have to go. The witch's brew is beginning to smell. Roger said. Roden looks better on TV, but he seems taller and lankier now than on screen. Reek observed. I can smell the brew, but it could be you. Ellie said. Why, Ellie, talking in rhymes you could already like a rapper would? Andrew asked. I must have been thinking out loud, but I would if I could. You probably were thinking out loud. Andrew said. You said I can smell the brew, but it could be you. Reek said. Now I heard that. Roger shouted. They all laugh. The next day all the ships started their 5-day trip to the first planet. Along the way Ellie and the Norsets created several thousand android bodies for the ship AIs. They tested the Sanet on live uninfected humans and the other aliens, and none developed complications. On the third day half of the Armada have been inoculated with the simple reagent. Tonin and the other ships instituted this inoculation program also. The Inkeys developed a mask with the Sanet gas just in case. They also developed very tiny individual capsule shot of the Sanet that all the people carry embedded in their wrists or hands, and a tiny actuator that detects the chemical and dispenses the tiny capsule, then send a beaming signal to the ship. One of the things they realized after all the people were inoculated was that the Bofengs never get infected by the chemicals. Which was good because they can participate more in the operations on the ground, but bad because their work is not militarily exact and up to standard. Olive reported, the planet will be on screen in 1 minute. The planet is indeed inhabited by humans. 180 million in 5 countries. They are industrial but has tall solid buildings, large ocean ships, and the countries are all capable of air travel. The primary source of power is coal and the electricity it generates. They also use the sun and wind to generate electricity. GX1 beams in with Kristen and Tom. I see humans on the planet. Happy and going about their merry way. Is there something we can do here or what? Andrew asked. Their atmosphere show high levels of the chemical. Ellie said. We could go down and talk to them. Eric said. Why don't we dispense some of the Sanet in the atmosphere and see how they would react to it? Ellie conjectured. Andrew agreed, yes, do it, Ellie. Ellie looked at Tom. Dispensing drones are away. The Norsets operators will dispense when they are nearer to the ground and in largely more populated areas. Tom said. The team waited for a few minutes. The drones have dispensed their loads. Tom announced. Reek, Don and Donna beams in with Insantal and another Jektanok named Sutanpal. The ships have dispatched several dozen drone probes around the planet, and they see people suddenly stop and as if waking up from a dazed state. Olive reported, Andrew, these humans were infected but they seem normal. Except that they look like they have just awakened from a dream state. I think we should investigate why they were infected in the first place. Where are the aliens that infected them? Andrew said. Eric noted, maybe like on Earth they lay dormant underground until the Romits come over and use their planet for whatever purpose. Olive reported, all the ships with mining scanners are scanning the planet. A screen suddenly appears. There you are. Eric said as the ship was identified. Olive continued, beaming several probes in. Andrew, there is another ship on the other side of the planet underneath the desert. I will beam several probes as well. Several screens opened up showing the inside of the two ships. Andrew looked at Insantal. Insantal, anything familiar? Tom continued sending the drones out with the reagent. Insantal approached the holos. The ship looks like ours, but they are all inside the capsules. Let's go down and open them. Let me and my friend here go down. Andrew looked at Olive. Okay, Olive, beam them down. Send out another Olive to help them. They could see the three open the capsules and found that they contain the same Jectinox species. Olive noted, they are the same species. Andrew. I will beam the Sanit shots for Insantal to administer. I am now filling the ship with Sanit gas. We will move to the other ship once we talk to these guys. Andrew said. Meanwhile they turned their attention on the other probes. It seems that almost all the humans in the cities have awakened. Most were sitting and trying to make sense out of the situation. It's terrible that one whole planet suddenly wakes up and realizes they have lost so many years. Ellie said. It would have been more terrible if the Romits come over and they are still happy being enslaved, eaten, or killed. Andrew said. Olive reported, the Jectinox have awakened. It seems that Insantal knows one of the crew from his real past life. They all beamed down to meet the crew. After some questions which turned to complete ignorance, Andrew decided that the best would be to study their ship and what information it holds. Olive, can we beam the whole ship into the hangar? Andrew asked. Yes, we can. Do you want me to beam the other ship as well? Andrew nodded. Yes, and tell the Marines to do the inoculation. You did fill the other ship with Sanit gas, right? Olive beamed Andrew and the team to the ship's main hangar. Yes. And Tom has continued to fill the planet's atmosphere with Sanit but concentrated in the cities. Do you think we should go down and explain, or do we just make sure everybody is free of the dream chemical? Eric asked. I would rather not meet them. We can make sure they are free if we do the inoculation ourselves. Insantal, why don't you and the crew meet the others? Andrew said. Yes, we are just waiting for them to wake up. Insantal said. We should have looked for the preparer organization, looked for the factories and stopped them. Now we don't know where they are. Reek commented. When we scanned the planet, we found where they are. But now they are inert as well. Olive said. I read the Norset report on the dream chemical, and what I want to know is how a chemical that is so stable affect brains as they do. Eric said. You're saying you want to know and see how the brain reacts to the chemicals? Reek asked. What if the mechanism is different? Eric asked. There is only one way to answer you, and that is to get an uninfected person infected, then observe his brain. Ellie said. I know where Eric is going. What if the dream chemicals were simply receptors, and as receptors they receive something, so the brain changes according to what it receives? Andrew said. Andrew, do you want me to search for any form of signal that can affect the dream chemical? Olive asked. Yes. Olive became quiet. There is none that I can sense. Wait, the Norsets have a device that searches for and measures subatomic wave forms. You know the waves that occurs between subatomic particles. Tom, can you ask the Norsets to scan the planet using this device, please? Ellie said. Tom appeared. We would have to launch a saber with the device to scan the lower atmosphere or nearest to the ground as possible. Do it. Ellie said. Andrew added, in the meantime, on the assumption that there is a signal. The source would have to be the two ships. Why don't you also scan the ships in the hangar bay? Ellie nodded and looked at Tom. Insantal got out of the other ship with its crew. One of the crew in the other ship knows one of the crew of the other ship from their old real lives. None of the other crew members know each other from their past lives. They do not even remember what they did. A Norset appears with the waves monitoring device in his hand. The device lighted up. Two more Norsets appear with the same device in hand. They searched for the signal from the ship. Several Norsets appear and went inside the ship. Tom reported, they asked me to scan the ship in minute detail. I am opening several holograms and screens for them to see and manipulate inside the ship. Tom added, the sabers have returned. There are no signals on the ground. The signals are coming from the two ships. The Norsets found the source. Olive said and produced a hologram of the part of the ship with the device. This small 1-foot tube an inch in diameter is the source of the signal. After a few minutes a Norset approached Andrew and Ellie, and this small tube is the source of the signal. We would have to see how it operates. It looks solid, but we would like to see its subatomic structure and operating processes. Olive, wrap the tube in a time warp box and see if the signal can still go through. Ellie said. Olive produced a time warp box in front of the Norsets. The Norsets put the two tubes inside. The signal was dissipated by 70%, the Norset said. Ellie added, Olive, wrap it in a bigger box. Olive floated the box and put it in a bigger time warp box. No more signal, said the Norset holding the wave tracking device. Now we know how to stop the signal. Now we need to know how it works. Andrew said. Ellie talked with the Norsets and Olive released the 2 tubes from the box. Ellie told them to test the range of the signal. The Norsets picked them up and they beamed out. I would have to work with them, sir. Andrew nodded and Ellie beamed out. Olive, tell Alan what we found out so they can search for the source of the signal. Yes, Andrew, I am communicating with his ship and sending all our intel. So the ship send the signal out while the crew are put to sleep for a very long time. Now if the Romits arrive, we would probably awaken to serve them. If they do not, we die with the ship buried underground. Insantal observed. Eric looked at him, pretty much so. The Jectanox talked among themselves. They were visibly upset. Okay, guys, let's all take a break and have some lunch. Insantal, your friends must be hungry from the long sleep. Let's all go to the mess hall. Andrew said. Andrew, your people are amazing. It's better than the TV show. Reek said. They all proceeded to the mess hall and got their usual food. Except for the new Jectanox who are in for their first meal in so many years and an alien one at that. Andrew, our ships are parked in your hangar bays. We would like to fix them so we can just fly them. We feel we must do our part and be useful. Insantal said. I would like that your ships be out of the hangar and fly on its own. But your ships are too slow for us and you are not cloaked. Why don't you talk with Ellie and see what the best options would be for your ships? Andrew said. I think the first order is to cloak them and tow them outside. Why don't you just study how we do things? Maybe you can be ground assault troops or drone operators. Eric suggested. Insantal agreed. I will discuss with Ellie what would be the best option. Have these 3 signed the non-disclosure form? Andrew asked. Olive answered, yes, they have 6 days ago. Now Reek, if you do something useful in our adventures you can be part of the TV series. And you can have your choice of C-list actor. Andrew said. C-list? Reek asked confused. Better than a hologram. Or an Inky with a chameleon device. Donna is in learning mode for the next several months on alien chemistry theories. Reek said. Donna added, it's amazing when you get to the level when you can create matter from something else. So Don, what are you writing about now? Andrew asked. I think you guys need a newspaper on intergalactic news. Don said. You should be talking to Maria and Edna. I think your idea is ripe and it makes a lot of sense, but mostly as it relates to Earth-based off-worlders. Information among the alien groups are easily obtained. For example, whatever happens to us is shared among all the ships in the Alliance. Then the alien world gets to read or know about it almost within a second of the first transmission to the next ship. Now for our off-world people on Earth, they would appreciate reading something from their off-world world. Eric said. Who are Edna and Maria? Don asked. Reek answered, those are Ellie's best friends since elementary. Right. But they also manage the monies for most of our off-world people and recently also from a lot of aliens. Ellie said. You can go to their ship and talk to them as soon as Tony connects the hops. He will be here tomorrow. That is if you can leave your Donna here. Andrew said. Donna held Don's hand. You can go, Donnie, do your thing. They laugh at her comment. Dr. Reek, I heard your expertise are life support systems and weapons. Eric noted. Well, I got the weapons expertise watching your show. I was trying to sell the idea to the government but they wouldn't buy it. Now I know why. They already have it. The life support I got looking at the alien ship and hibernation capsules. But you don't need to hibernate. So I have to look for some area of expertise to be an expert in. I thought you were an expert first before you can be considered expert in an area of expertise. Andrew asked. Reek explained, some scientists are called experts because they are simply one step ahead of the rest of the pack. As I said, my areas of interest now would be people. The planet below is full of people who just woke up. Eric said. But you guys already decided not to contact them. It would be nice to help them begin their journey into space. I actually sent a request to the Alien Council heads if we can make first contact and they said they are thinking about it. Reek noted. Great, that's initiative. Andrew exclaimed. If you think about it, bringing 180 million humans into the fold is good not only socially but economically as well. Plus we are giving these people a longer life, which is probably the best thing we can do for them. Reek observed. Some societies are not or are ill-prepared for intergalactic relationships. Andrew said. Yes, in those cases you prepare them. I do not believe in letting them go their merry way when you can help hasten the process. Which in the end will benefit them earlier rather than later. Reek countered. Good for you, Dr. Reek. But you know some changes that you need to do may take generations to seep into their consciousness. Eric said. How would we know if we do not try to find out first? Reek asked. You're right, Doctor. Who wants to go down? Andrew asked. All of the people in the mess hall raised their hands. I thinks it's perfect to go down. We can pretend not to know what happened in the last several years or something. Eric said. This could be dangerous. Donna said. Come on honey, it could be fun. Reek countered. At the mission hall, Andrew stood in front of the people who wanted to go down to the human planet. More than a third of the crew wanted to go down and nosy around. Since the number of chameleon devices was a quarter of their number, they arranged to go down in turns. Andrew started. The language translators are paired off with the chameleon devices. Now there are 5 major languages on the planet, so there would be 5 groups that go down. All will have a day in one country. Then the cycle starts again. I want to remind you all that this is a recon mission, not R&R. Your job is to gather intel, whatever it is. After the mission you can write the mission report about them, or you can let a Mac extract them from you. The areas in the cities are all divided into square zones, and groups go down by zones in each of the countries. This is a learning experience also, with the pointers outlined in your personals. Make sure you read them and learn. Learn well. We might need these in our future missions. Olive reported. Andrew, I have identified the leadership of the countries. We can talk to one of their top leaders. Somebody will pretend to know him. For example, this guy. His name is Galwan. He is in charge of his country's science programs now. He does not know what he does. He's now sitting in his office. Pretend you are from the university on the quest to study the sudden awakening. Okay, I want GX1 team up with people from GX4, GX5 and GX6. Divide into 5 groups under Eric, Gadden, Ellie and Roger. I would be the 5th. We get 2 other guys to go with us and talk to their top leaders. All the other GX teams do this team up as well into groups of 3. Your ship AI could be 4th. Andrew continued. I will take Lieutenant Call Kirk Johnson and Dr. Reek. The rest of you choose your members. Thank you for letting me go down, Andrew. Reek said. The room suddenly became noisy as each of the commanders chose their members. After getting their chameleon and language devices, they started to beam down to their target areas. Andrew and his team beamed down to the next room from Galwan's office. They quickly walked into Galwan's office. Good morning, Mr. Galwan. My name is Andrew and we are from the university investigating this local mystery. I spent the whole day yesterday piecing my life together. Who I was, what was I doing, where do I live? But I remember doing the things consistent with this, but somehow I remember some other things from when I was very young. We all went through that yesterday. Some had it easier than others. Some wanted proof. Mr. Galwan, what do you think happened and how does the country's leadership see this? I have no idea. I just talked to the president and he has no idea. He just felt good he was the president, not some poor bum on the street. Kirk noted, we do not see bums on our streets. Yes, because we take care of our people well. That's what I read in my letters and the newspapers. So you believe the government is doing a good job, at least? Reek said. Yes, we do. But what bothers me is that all the 5 nations are friends and at peace with each other. You do not like being at peace with your neighbors? Andrew asked, surprised. I like peace, but I remember we were at war and hated each other for generations. Maybe we reconciled, but it's incredible that we did. Maybe they're thinking of the same thing. How long have we been at peace? Reek asked in a low tone. The papers say for more than 30 years. Which is really long. Now our societies and economies, even our sciences, have integrated with each other and it would be hard to go to war even if we all decided to. Galwan answered. That's good, right? I mean, even if you all decided you want to go to war you cannot because your societies are joined at the hip, so to speak. Andrew opined. Yes. But it really feels strange. As a person of science, what would be your nearest theory of what had happened to our planet? Kirk asked. The position tell me that I am supposed to be in charge of our country's science programs, but now I feel I am not even remotely into science. I am a politician, not a scientist. But here I am. So to answer you, no, I am not a person of science and I feel that all this could be some handiwork of some out-of-this-world alien. You mean space aliens? Reek asked. Andrew followed through. That is strange. We don't even know if they exist or not. Why don't we ask the president or vice president? If they are politicians, maybe one of them may be a scientist before or somehow in a previous life. Galwan suggested. Andrew nodded. Good idea. Galwan led them through some corridors in the building until they reached the office of the president. Is President Tabona in? Galwan asked the secretary. The secretary nodded and opened the double door. Galwan? I was expecting you to come not 2 seconds ago. So what were you before? I believe I was a scientist or a person of science before I became president. These are people from the university. He introduced each of them, and I conjecture that this could be the handiwork of some space alien. Have a seat. You could be right. But what bothers me is that all 5 countries are all at peace with each other. Something I believe then is impossible. Tibona said. Exactly how I felt. Galwan agreed. I thought you said this was good. Andrew said. Galwan nodded at Andrew. It is, but it feels so strange. Tibona agreed. Exactly how I feel. Is there a chance that your people will go back to what we, were before? Reek asked. Galwan cared to answer. I doubt it. We may know what we were before, but this is how we are now and we are better, so even if we wanted to we cannot be our old selves. I agree, my friend. Our institutions, politics, socio-economic and cultural institutions, will also prevent us from going back. For one, we don't have our large armies as we had before since there is nobody to fight. We do have some police, but crime has gone down. That half of police work is really taking care of our citizens' problems that are not crime-related. So in the end nothing changes. Life goes on and pretty soon we all forget again that we remembered something we forgot. Andrew concluded. I agree. Reek said. President Tibona, have you ever considered space exploration as one of your major presidential prerogatives? Kirk asked. Yes, that was one of my campaign issues. Actually, my friends from the other countries have met and wanted to have a joint undertaking to put the first man in orbit. And since our country is the largest and had some edge in science and money, they pushed this agenda as one of my issues and I agreed with them completely. I think we should put a man in orbit. Galwan added, or men and women. We also have plans to set up a space station. Reek noted, that would be very expensive. Yes, absolutely. The cost of propulsion alone is staggering. They intend to use this new nuclear power a joint team of scientists invented 10 years ago. Tibona said. I believe we have enough for the day. Can we visit you again, Mr. President? Andrew asked. Of course. You know my office is open to all our citizens. Andrew and his group walked out of the building where Tibona's office was. They walked around and looked at the buildings and people around them. After a few minutes they went back in and went to the restrooms. From there they beamed back to the ship. Back at Andrew's bridge, Ellie, Roger and Eric were in a heated discussion on whether their earlier actions were justified or not. Okay, boys and girl, I take the position that we did good more than we did bad. Andrew said. Ellie agreed, that's my position as well. Nobody should be robbed of their real free will no matter what. But the society could have exterminated each other if it were not for the chemical. Roger countered. The point is next time we should not rush in and immediately free the people from their dream state. Eric said. So the chemical actually makes people unite and create a better society. In preparation of course for the coming of the new lords. It would be good if we can witness a society taken over by these Romits. Reek concluded. The universe is really a strange place. If the Romits were bad, why would they turn the people first into good? Kirk asked. Eric nodded, exactly. Look at the planet below. The people created a very egalitarian and peaceful society. Now here comes the Romits. Why would the Romits come and mess something they prepared to be good for the people? Would it have been easier to mess something that is already messed up? Why go through all the trouble? Eric, how many planets did Kristen identify as infected by the chemical? Andrew asked. Kristen appeared. Andrew, there would be 2 planets within 200 mly and another 3 within the next 200 mly after that, then 7 within the next 200 mly. Let me recon one of the planets, the nearer one. Roger said. I'll recon the other one. Eric added. Okay, but take some Jectinox with you. I will wait here for the guys. Kirk, why don't you do a Hail Mary to one of the 3 planets in the next 200 mly furthest out? Take 4 more ships with you. My thoughts exactly, boss. Sir. Kirk said. He gave a crisp salute and beamed out. That's something you don't see every day. Ellie observed. If I remember right, Ellie, the last time you and the girls gave a crisp salute was at the mess hall when you got your pretty new uniforms. But that was like more than 2 years ago. Yeah, I figure that long also. I believe I should just let Olive salute me every time she appears. Ellie laughed. I could not imagine you to be salute depraved, sir. Ellie, out here in the universe, so far from home, a salute means more than a hot meal. Are you doing this for the movies or what? Reek asked Andrew. I better go back to my ship. May I salute you, sir? Ellie asked as she gave a nice salute and beamed off. A little drama does not hurt at all. Andrew said and laughed. I'm hungry. Reek said. Andrew looked at him. He's not stout or overweight at all. It's probably the TP. Andrew thought. Come on, let's go to the mess hall. Andrew said. While they were eating, Tony appeared and, hi boss. Andrew introduced Reek to Tony. You're Roni, the Hop King in the book and later in the TV series. Reek exclaimed. Andrew looked at Tony and nodded. Boss, I towed 80 hop ships. From here to our network are 2 lines of hops ships. I got the target planets from Kristen and I will lay the hops all the way up to 600 MLY. That would be 12 planets and moons total. From there on I will go back and it would be up to you and your ships to tow and lay out the hop ships. I have to go now. Tony explained. You can't wait to get back to Layla, huh? Yeah, just like you, boss. Tony smiled and disappeared. Are we going to each of the 12 planets? Reek asked. Maybe not. We have to use our time to address the more pressing issues or those planets with the most issues. Andrew answered. Tell me, Andrew, why did you take us in instead of letting us back to Earth? Andrew thought for a while. Because you did something no human on Earth was able to do. Find and investigate an alien ship. And against all odds tried to tell the government about it. And nobody listened. Frankly, I don't know. It's probably because you look like an Indiana Jones type of a guy. Were you in the military before? Yes, Navy SEAL. Figures. You did the dangerous work, you did it alone and with nobody believing in you. And you keep things light. Something we always try to do around here.